I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, this is Christina Barton. You're watching Black T News. Hello. Welcome to Black T News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about Anthony Mackie on the press tour of Captain America Brave New World. And he said some comments that are upsetting some folks, and I want to talk about it because I know he's said some things that maybe upset some folks in the past, but I mean, I think passively at least like Anthony Mackie. I'm not saying he hasn't said maybe some woke things or before, but he seems to have some values that come off a bit traditional to me. So, and we'll analyze it and talk about it together, about how he's representing Captain America, what it means to him, and not really the America part. So, that's causing a bit of a stir. And I don't know how much of it's going to deter people from actually seeing the film or not, but we'll see. We'll talk about it. Also, I want to talk about the press briefing that had just happened, I guess, and Trump's folks are kicking butt and taking names and actually believe illegal immigration is a crime and all sorts of stuff. And the White House is doing a pause on federal grants because apparently there's a lot of crazy stuff that this should be no shock that we've been spending a lot of federal dollars on things that are insane. So we'll be talking about that as well. So before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate because it does cost to stream, run my website, all that good stuff so you guys can support. I very much do appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. You guys can also give stars on Facebook, and you guys can, if you're not watching live, you guys can do like stickers and stuff. You can send super chats on like YouTube and stuff. Another way to support is to check out different merch that's available at blacktnews.com. I do have like a black tea mug, and I do have other mugs and stuff you guys can check out, like the You Are Not That Special. You can get that for someone in your life today. Go and humble them. And I do have that in a t-shirt as well. I know people like that t-shirt. And I got other stuff. I got pro-life stuff. We just had the March for Life. I wasn't there this year. I did not think I could really pull off trying to go there and to the ball. You guys know I told you how tiring the ball was just because the line and all kinds of different stuff. So I couldn't stay in DC because I came up with a group and stuff. And I certainly wasn't about to make that drive again. But thank you to everyone who marched this year. Maybe next year. I saw a lot of people that that went there that I see on TikTok all the time. So that's cool. But you guys can also check out my books that are available on blacktnews.com. I'm sorry, you can, if you go to blacktnews.com and go to the merchandise page, there's a banner that'll take you to my book website. But there's a link in the description that'll take you to like an Amazon page where you guys can see my stuff, like Slay Your Fear. That's one of my nonfiction books. And of course, Guys Blatantly Against Abortion is another nonfiction book. Most of my books are fiction though. Last night I got in a live on TikTok with my sister. She was working on my doing stuff for my picture book, Bigger. These are just some concept art. But that's a little baby dinosaur who dreams of being bigger. She just has a couple more pages. She was working on one of the final pages, I think the second to the last page last night. So I saw she was live. So I just hopped on her live and we just chit-chatted. So I can't wait until it comes out. I see you guys in the chat. Thank you guys for being in the chat. At least I see you guys chatting on YouTube. I know some of you guys can't watch it live and watch it back later, but I thank you guys for commenting and joining. And you guys have conversations with each other. It's like a little community. I love it. I love it. So anyway, I'll be excited when I get that picture book out. And I'll let you guys know. I know she sometimes goes on Twitch and she will paint some of the pictures, so people ask her about it. So, I'm excited for when that can finally happen. But we're getting close. I think there's like maybe 2 more things she has to draw and a couple more things she has to touch up and things she has to complete painting. But I think there's like 18 pictures that she's done all together for this book, and so it's just coming together nicely. And thank you for your interest. But other than this will be my first picture book that will be released, which will obviously come out this year because we are now finally almost done with it. But I have plenty of novels and stuff, like chapter books and novels and stuff you guys can check out. And I see that people are taking advantage of the fact that my books are on Kindle Unlimited, and at least my fiction ones. So I've seen people like reading through the Curse series and other stuff. So go ahead and check that stuff out. Thank you so much for saying my sister's talented. She was just streaming before I came on. She streams on YouTube on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I know some of you pop in to watch her work. So thank you guys for supporting her. Please check out her paintings and stuff, and support her in that way as well. So let's go ahead and start off with the Captain America controversy, because that's what I titled it. So we'll just go ahead with the main story first. So you guys know that many of you know, I grew up reading comic books. My dad wanted to learn how to read because his dad brought home comic books, and he didn't know how to read them, so he wanted to learn how to read them. And so he collected them himself. He almost bought the Amazing Fantasy where Spider-Man appeared for the first time, but he only had $300 in his pocket, and it's $300. And it was at a comic shop called the Eye of Agamotto. And he knew that his mom would fuss at him so much if he took all of his money, and this is when he's like in college, to buy that Spider-Man book. And I don't sweat it too much, even though that is a very expensive book now, because he probably wouldn't have kept it in this condition that would have warranted, how expensive it is now. So I don't sweat the fact that he didn't buy it. Yeah, my sister seconded that he would not have kept it in good condition. So I don't sweat it. But anyway, he loved comic books. My older siblings got into comic books because they went on a missionary trip to Calgary in Canada, and it was a multiple day trip. And so he's like, if you're in the front seat, you're gonna be praying, and you guys can do whatever in the back seat, but if you're my passenger, you're gonna be praying with me. And he brought a box of comic books so they can be entertained, because we didn't all have obviously cell phones back then that they could just do all kinds of different stuff on there. So they started reading comic books, and we watched Saturday morning cartoons, comic books, X-Men, and all the other different shows too. There was Incredible Hulk, there was Iron Man, there was Fantastic Four. Nothing was like better than like X-Men. DC had some good shows though, DC Comics, but like Batman Beyond, Batman animated series, and so there was some good stuff all around. But I started reading them later, not real late in life, but I wasn't on that trip with them. I saw them all reading, and I just, kind of picked it up. And so we would go see Marvel movies opening night. Opening night Thursday. And it'll be the family. We call it different church members, and we'd be like, hey, we're gonna go see this. What, you guys want to go to the 8 o'clock show, the 7 o'clock show? We would be there. We were so bought in with the first couple phases of the MCU, and it really died for me after Endgame. That was like the kind of the beginning of the end. I didn't love it. Um, I dislike it actually, and I don't have the time to explain all the reasons why. Not in this video. I always say I'm going to make a long video about it. I haven't done it yet, but I have berated it from in sprinkles here or there. And I the last project that I really watched, I saw Spider-Man Far From Home. That was with Mysterio, and I guess WandaVision was probably the last one that I watched. Now I know I'm the kind of person that knows just about everything about anything, even though I don't watch it. Would clips come up my way, sometimes I'll click on them and watch them. But as like opening Disney Plus and actually sit down and watching stuff, I have not done that since WandaVision last film that I actually went to go see. That was a Disney anything, probably was that Spider-Man Far From Home. So it's been a while. And I've explained the reason why I haven't been into it is I just don't like the direction that Disney has gone. The MCU isn't as good as it used to be. I think most people would say that. And I think it goes beyond fatigue. But I haven't liked the woke direction in the films, but mainly in the comics, I guess, and just mainly as Disney as a company. And through different initiatives that they've done, announcements, interviews, things you see on TV, I got the feeling that they resent people like me, people like my family, the values that I was brought up with. In the words of Chris Evans, I'm going to be hopeful that dinosaurs like me die out. And I just took what Eric July, who started up his own comic book company, said to heart, that you shouldn't give more than 50% of your money to people who hate you. And that just kind of made sense to me. So I've just haven't I used to have kind of more aggression toward the anti-Disney stuff. Now I think it's just mostly I don't care as much, you know. It seemed like they're trying to kind of there's something that happened, I think, earlier this year. They did something and it kind of seemed like, are they trying to turn things around a bit to woo people back in their audience? Can't remember what the specific thing was. I know we covered it. It's just not on the tip of my tongue. If someone recalls what story that was, feel free to put that drop in the comments. But so maybe they'll start acting right, but I'm not invested. And I know there's a lot of people who aren't really invested. Now, with that being said, I know there's plenty of people who are excited about this Captain America movie, with Anthony Mackie leading it coming out. And they're going to have the Red Hulk in there, played by Harrison Ford. Sorry if that's a spoiler, but it's clearly seen in the trailer. But they've had to do a lot of reshoots, and the movie's getting pretty expensive. And I don't know if the movie's gonna tank or it's gonna make bank. But they started the press tour, and people are upset about something that Anthony Mackie said while he was in Italy. And I don't think it's the best route to go. I don't think it's the best route to go, for sure. So let me go ahead and play you guys this clip. Bounding into Comics had an article about it. I'm going to read a little bit of it because there was another incident with Anthony Mackie in the past that people weren't too fond of either. But overall, I don't follow Anthony Mackie religiously, but like I said in the opening, I passively, I guess, like him. Like if you say, "Hey, you like Anthony Mackie?" I'm like, "Sure, I like Anthony Mackie." I don't follow his press tours like religiously, so I guess there could be something slipping under the cracks. But in general, he seems to have he said things that would be maybe controversial to some folks because they sound kind of more traditional, like go make me a sandwich kind of guy, and you want me to punch out a guy if he says something rude, you can make me a sandwich. So he's a funny kind of, seems more like a traditional guy. But I know people have been triggered by some things that he said in the past, but we'll analyze this and share our thoughts. So libs of TikTok post this, other people posted it, and it's making the rounds, and I saw it beginning to bud on TikTok.
For me,
So he was asked the question, what does like Captain America represent to him? And so that's where this question is.
for me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. Someone who is trustworthy and dependable. It's kind of this is kind of like an aspect of a dream coming true. When I was a kid, all of us as actors, I believe, want to get back to that day before someone told you no. When you look out your door and you see a 5-year-old kid with a stick and he's slaying dragons to save the princess in the tower, that kid really believes there are dragons out there. That stick is really a sword and he's really trying to save that princess. And then one day somebody told him, no, there are no dragons. That's not a sword. And that princess is not there. And all of his little dreams were dashed. So, as an actor, I feel like our job is to get back to the day where we see that dragon and we slay that dragon to save that princess. And that's kind of what this movie was for me.
So he didn't clarify, or he went on to this, oh, this is a big dream for me. So I don't think it probably registered that he said something that was like terribly controversial to people. But in case you missed it, I'll just play the beginning part again.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations.
So people are upset about the Captain America. For me, represents a lot of different things, and America like isn't one of them. And I don't like it. And I don't know, I guess I like to give him a little more grace than that. But people are saying comments like, oh, I like, Pizza Hut, but to me Pizza Hut represents a lot of things, but not pizza, so people are making comments like that. So I think it's Steve Rogers is a good man, great man, and he talked about trustworthiness and different ideals and characteristics that he thinks this character is supposed to embody. And it was important that they got the right person to carry the shield and be that symbol, because those are the things that were supposed to represent, America idealism and stuff. So I maybe that's a comment that he's making because he's in a different country and they want the movie to do well internationally, and those ideals are they want that Sam wants to represent, that they feel that Steve represented. They want that to transcend in all across the country. But I mean all across the world, not just all across the country. But people don't like it. Nerdrotic said, this is what happens when you don't have Captain America in the Captain America sequel. Now, Anthony Mackie this movie is already pushing up against a lot of different things. I don't know how well the plot's going to be. But a lot of people want Chris Evans. They want Chris Evans as Captain America. Chris Evans that didn't want to do anymore. He didn't want to do acting that was a talk, like he kind of wanted to get out of acting and do some like political stuff or something. But but he obviously continued to act, and people are like, okay, if you're going to act, why don't you keep doing Marvel movies? Which they had to pull his teeth to even accept the role of Captain America in the first place. but he wanted to move on from it, and they might pull his arm and get him back, like they got Robert Downey Jr. to come back, but people didn't like that the shield was passed on, and a lot of people thought that the shield should have been passed on to Bucky. Now, I'm not one of those people who are out there saying, no, it should have been Bucky, this is affirmative action, all kinds of crazy stuff, because I'm like, Sam was there with Cap for a while. He was by his side during Winter Soldier, and he was by his side during the Civil War. He got arrested, all that stuff. He stood by him. I know Bucky was his best friend. Bucky also had, issues with his brain being messed up with, and he was just an assassin, like, 2 ticks ago. So to me, if they had to pass on the mantle to someone, and they had to do that because Captain America, though still alive, was looking at like Joe Biden at the end of Endgame. They had to pass it on to someone. To me, it made sense that it was Sam. I don't know how well Sam can carry the franchise. I mean, Sam has taken on the mantle, but when they always have someone take on the mantle of, like, Captain America or whatever, it always comes back to the original. Like, you can have all these Spider-Mans up the wazoo. I don't care how much you like Miles Morales or, Jessica Drew or whoever, people still love Peter Parker. And that's Spider-Man. There's other people who take on the mantle, but the popularity of that character was so just explosive that they just keep expanding it, and then they create a mantle out of something, when the truth is that people, they might like these other characters too, but they really like the central one. Green Lantern, other stuff is a little different, but people will always keep wanting to go back to Captain America. So there are times that they replace him in the comic book, but they keep going back to Captain America's is Steve Rogers. So he has a lot already pressing up against him, and people I feel like it's a decision that made sense, but they're marrying it with all of this woke stuff that has been going on in entertainment in the world and Marvel and Disney. And then they just see a connection there. And then they're like, this is DEI. I don't want to see this DEI Captain America. I don't want to see this woke Captain America. And I don't think that's a fair way to look at it. Now, people had mixed someone said not Joe Biden, LOL. He looked like Joe Biden at the end of Endgame. Like, go back and watch it. Maybe not like, that Joe Biden that we've had for the past 4 years, maybe when he was a little more spry, just rewind it a little bit further back. But yeah, he kind of looked like Chris Evans at the end of Endgame, kind of looked like Joe Biden. So, let's look at, some of these comments that other people have said through the quote tweet. I have not looked at these, so I guess we can look at the comments a little bit. Captain America, a lot of things rolls right off the tongue. Well, his name is Captain America. He represents traditional American values. If you hate that so much, don't play the character. He didn't say that he hated them. Marvel's unwatchable woke garbage. Captain Woke, disgraceful. Complete dog bleep. Captain America brought to you by the people who hate America. Now that's the kind of marketing you just can't buy. Yeah, that's not great marketing. I don't know how they'll clean that up, or if they'll bother addressing it or whatever. It's not a great statement, guys. Like, I don't want to be too malicious to Anthony Mackie, but and I've been following Anthony I've seen him in a lot of stuff for a while, like before he got anywhere close to like leading stuff, and he's like the side person, like in Real Steel, he was, like a side character. He helped Abraham Lincoln defeat the vampires. Do you guys remember that? Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Slayer. So, he's been in some interesting films since then. He is sounding a lot like Rachel Zegler here. He better watch out, or he's going to get the Snow White treatment. I do not think Anthony Mackie is Rachel Zegler, but another actor willing to say bleep America for a paycheck. What a shock. Where are they getting these celebrities these days? Thanks for ruining the Marvel movies. Captain America has evolved beyond just representing America. He's more of a universal symbol now. That was more of, I guess, of a common understanding that, oh, what happened, and they got spammed with a bunch of comments that followed under that. I think that might be his thinking, especially as he's trying to uplift the film in another country. But there's a way to obviously still uplift the United States of America and the ideals and stuff that we aspire to and should be representing, while, saying something that's relatable to other countries that they can uplift and aspire to and just relate to. Right? So Anthony Mackie, in this Bounding into Comics article, had reported on something else that he had said when he was doing the Winter Soldier. So I'm gonna pop up that article real quick. Not Winter Soldier. It was a Captain America and Winter Soldier, that spin-off series. Some people thought it was woke. Other people said it wasn't woke. I heard different commentators believe it take different things out of it. That wasn't one that I did watch myself. That was in my no, I'm not watching this stuff phase that I guess I'm still in, but sorry, this is not like scrolling like I want it to. I don't know why this is finicky. Come on. Okay, Okay, this is not the first time that Mackie has criticized the America aspect of Sam Wilson's new mantle, recalling the time filming Falcon and Winter Soldier during the 2021 interview with Variety's Adam B. Vary. Mackie asserted, "I've worked so long in this business and I've done so many things that I felt were not appreciated or overlooked, or things that were not considered to be worthy of promotion. And this is like my first promotion. The idea of being Captain America was something that I never fathomed, or because it was so far-fetched." He said, "I wanted to be in comic book movies so I could be the guy in Spider-Man that goes, 'It's Spider-Man.' That was as far as my ambition could take me in that universe. The fear of representing a country who doesn't represent you, was something that's not only unfathomable, but hard to overcome." Mackie continued, "My dad always used to say greatness is as far as you can see it. There are limitations that we place on ourselves because of our surroundings. And, I did that to myself. And that's definitely what Sam Wilson goes through." So, what people took issue, the fear of representing a country who doesn't represent you, was I think some of the themes and stuff going on at least in the TV show, and things that Sam Wilson is representing. And I think that this country does represent Americans, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans. And there's people who don't feel that way. I'm not saying that's necessarily even exactly how he feels, or if he's just kind of like emulating much of what his character was feeling or the route that they were going. But there could be times when he has felt like that, or older people have kind of felt like that. There's ugly history in the United States of America for minorities. But there were always good things that just in America that just needed to be actualized for all people. Frederick Douglass, I have a shirt that I have at my store where Frederick Douglass is on there, and there's a quote that the Constitution is a glorious liberty document. And that's a quote from his what to the slave is the 4th of July. And some people look at that speech and they look at it like it's negative, Like, aha, he disliked the 4th of July. It's like, no, I don't think he disliked the 4th of July. He had enough respect for the 4th of July to not go ahead and bash it on the 4th of July, because he was asked to speak at an event, a Republican event, and he's like, I won't do it on the 4th, I'll do it on the 5th. So he did it on the 5th of July, and he just aired out some grievances and basically rebuked Republicans and folks in America for not being more aggressive about the plights of the American slave and how we view slavery. And he rebuked Christians and stuff. And he said when they launched the Fugitive Slave Act, we should have saw that as an assault to religious liberty. So it's really I'm gonna take you by your shoulders and shake you, because we're not living up to how things are supposed to be in America. And when he said the Constitution is a glorious liberty document, he said that he disagrees with people who think the Constitution isn't a freedom document for all people. He believed that people were reading it wrong. So he defended the Constitution as it was. So, you sometimes you see like, Miss Crystal. There's a guy who goes on MSNBC all the time, and he's a big black guy with hair that's like sticking straight up, wears glasses. I can't think of his name. It's kind of strange. But he'll say the Constitution kind of sucks, and people like him will say that it's not for black and brown people. We could do something better, and blah 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 blah. But we just needed to demand and that these ideals that are in here, that are clearly supposed to be for us, is just actualized. So there's a lot of people who do feel, unfortunately, bitter about America and the American experience. And I would like this figure of Captain America not to be like naggy, but more aspirational. There's a character that I wrote in I don't know a better example to kind of use, so I'm just gonna refer to a character that I wrote. But in one of my books, The Color of God's Eyes, it's a historical fiction fantasy, and it takes place during the American Civil War. This character named Cooper, and he was born free. He lives in New York, and he helps other people. He teaches them like how to fight, self-defense, boxing, and other things like that. And he takes in the main character Charlotte at one point, and he falls for her, and she likes him. But there's more love interest going around in the story. I won't say how that ends, but Cooper is someone who's very aware of how the world is. He's very aware of the flaws in it. He's very aware of how people like him are treated. And he is still very optimistic about how much better the world can be. And that it's on him and people like him to go out there and make it happen. So I have a phrase that I said one time in like a TikTok, and someone's like, you need to put that on a t-shirt, and I did. But the be better, not bitter, like that's the attitude that I would like so many people to have, with America. So the character's name is Cooper, but Ellie Mistal was his name, I believe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Did you look that up, or did you just kind of know that? I knew it was like Mistal or something, but I was trying to figure it out. So I don't necessarily think that Anthony Mackie should be canceled. I obviously don't like the comment, and I wish that he had thought to clean it up. I hope he does, but maybe they'll leave it alone. I hope there's not more comments like that while he's promoting the film. I don't really plan to see it, not because I have anything against him, not because I have anything against Sam Wilson becoming Captain America. I'm just divorced from Disney right now, divorced from Marvel right now, and that's not Anthony Mackie's fault. So I don't plan on seeing the film, so I will not be contributing to whether it succeeds or not. I'll leave that to you guys, but I don't know. I don't think it's great. I think it's the line about he represents a lot of things, but not America not being one of them is like what would you what do you think of America? I guess is my question. One of my favorite moments of Captain America, and this is Bounding into Comics article, it goes on and it lists some different things, moments of Captain America about how America is an ideal and that the people can be weak, and we're nothing without our ideals and stuff. And there's nice speeches in here. But one of the moments that I just loved, and this is like an Elseworld world kind of book, like a alternate reality. There's a book called Marvel 1602. And if you haven't read it, I'm sorry, it's a spoiler. And it's a big spoil because this was like a moment that just kind of shocked if you read it. But it's like early, well, it takes place in 1602. And there's like Marvel characters, but they're like in that time frame. And it's interesting finding out who's who and how they're represented in that time. And Doctor Doom like killed Queen Elizabeth, and like the Master of Spies was Nick Fury, not Samuel L. Jackson version, but the original version. And they had X-Men in there, and I don't think the Fantastic Four were in that book. Maybe they were. I know they had their own spinoff. Maybe they were. I haven't read in a long time. It's somewhere in my house, but I haven't read in a long time. But there was this girl who had this big Native American with them, and he had long braided hair, and he's just speaking a few words, and he's blonde, and they're just like, okay, someone obviously slept with a native, made this big hulking native guy. And so they were saying that there was something that set off their history that changed it and made it so where people started getting powers, and it was affecting the world, and they needed the forerunner they needed to send them back. And so they thought this girl who was being accompanied by the Native American was the forerunner, and she had visions. Or did she have visions? I think she had maybe visions, but I think she could maybe turn into animals. But maybe she just had visions. I don't remember exactly. But there was one point in the story where someone addressed the Native American about the forerunner, and then he started speaking like full on English sentences, and then you found out that the Native American guy isn't actually Native American. He's Captain America. And not only is he not Captain America from their time, he's the Captain America. And he got sent in some kind of wormhole or something to the past. And he just decided that he would nurture America and guide it, and and try to help it not make the mistakes that it made, and like it can be greater than it ever was. And it just, like, how much love he had for the country just swelled my heart. And I'm like, if this man was real, I would just make him apple pies and be full on 50s housewife for him. Like I like it just made me, I just loved it so much. And how much pride he had in the country, how much love he had in the country. The book is called Marvel 1602. You could probably get it off Amazon. It's a book that's, I guess, quite old now, over a decade, maybe 2 decades now. But they tried to do like a Marvel What If episode, which wasn't like the book. The book is great, but it just made me love him so much. But that's kind of what I think. I know Captain America has been portrayed so many times, so many ways, in different writers write different things. Like Ta-Nehisi Coates was writing Captain America and, wrote some garbage stuff. They had the whole making Jordan Peterson like Red Skull, controversy that happened a couple years ago that I covered. He had like his certain rules for life that were supposed to mimic Jordan Peterson's rules for life. And they've definitely made Captain America woke. There were times when Captain America didn't love the country so much, or maybe you would say he did love the country, but didn't like the direction where it was going and the leadership and stuff. And became I think the nomad, and and he was against the government, in the Civil War and stuff. So you know he's a complex character and can be a complex character, and there are times when people can actually just write Captain America pretty woke himself. So there's all kind of complicated feelings with this Anthony Mackie quote, but I want to, I don't know, give him a little grace and just kind of hope that the press tour goes better. But I like him to have a little bit of space to fix this or dive in and explain now, how he feels about the country and America and so on. But I don't think I've really heard him talk politics too much though. And maybe he has, but I just haven't seen it. But I don't know. I generally seem to like Anthony Mackie, but not a great moment. Let me see if there's any other interesting quote tweets before we move on. Quote tweets. Let me go back to TikTok. I'm sorry, not TikTok, Twitter, so you guys can see my screen. Like, I know Nerdrotics and all these other like comic book folks are gonna have a field day. Captain America shouldn't represent Captain America, and they got the what face guy. Captain that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. This is the Razor Fist said, for me, Pizza Hut represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term pizza should be one of those things. Yeah. This is from Marvel Ultimate Avengers. He's fighting somebody, and he's like, do you think they said you should surrender? He's like, surrender. And he's like, do you think this letter on my head stands for France? And I know there's people who didn't like that. I loved it, but the name is, Critical Drinker said his name is literally Captain America. I already read Nerdrotic. Got some swear words. Quarter Black Garrett said, bro's trying to tank the movie. Laughing face. Look, dude, no one cares about the movie already. You don't need to try harder. Captain Kami would be more apt for this take. When, not if, but when this movie bombs, they'll blame racists for not going to see it. Someone said that they think that when there's a conspiracy, that when it seems like these movies, when it's signaling that they're not going to do well, that they think they send these actors out there to say dumb stuff so people can point to like, oh, the woke stuff, and say, oh, these racists didn't want to go see it, all these and it's like the politics rather than the movie itself being the reason why it failed. Now, I don't know if the movie's good or not. It could be a great script. And I don't know how much I believe the conspiracy, that kind of conspiracy, but I do believe that some of these companies just like generating controversy and they thrive off of it. And then in Marvel, that's the case. Like, you had the She-Hulk writers were just like salivating at making the fans rabid. Like, why would you be happy knowing that your fans are going to be pissed off? And I guess the answer is just because at the end of the day, they are making stuff, and some of that stuff is not for you. But if you're making stuff and it's not for me, don't be mad when I do not go see it. Don't be mad when I don't pay to go see it. So, yeah, Katrina says Chris Evans was the most woke out of the whole cast. That's true. There's a tweet of him somewhere just saying he doesn't like Ben Shapiro. There's like, I don't think it's connected to anything. I don't know if it's a retweet of anything. He's just like, I don't like that Ben Shapiro. Tiffany said, I was wondering where you've been. Good to see you. Good that you can see me. I've been here though. I streamed yesterday. I streamed last week. I didn't stream the first couple days of the week because of the I was out in DC, but yeah, that you're watching on Facebook, they are suppressing my stuff. They are. I'm here. But I'm glad to see you guys. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. You guys know that I do talk pop culture stuff and social commentary and all sorts of different things, not just politics. So it's always fun when I can tackle those issues and stuff too. So, I want to talk about, there's some interesting things happening in Michigan, by the way. I know some of you are from Michigan. Gary Peters, Senator Gary Peters, I guess this affects everyone nationwide, will not be running for re-election. I have no idea why. Senator Peters is not an old man. He hasn't been there forever. Now, I'm not saying people should want to be there forever, but it's just kind of odd when people retire early. And he just won his race against John James not too long ago. So I wonder why someone said it sounds like a scandal's coming. I don't, a lot of people really like him. He goes to a lot of events. He's like I heard him described as a nerdy white guy who can still get down. And that's why a lot of different groups and organizations like him. And he put in a lot of work and stuff. So yeah, if he was going to run again, I don't think it would be necessarily easy to beat him, but we will have an open battleground seat in Michigan in 2026. So they already asked Governor Gretchen Whitmer if she was going to run for that seat, and she said no. Interesting. I think the reason why she said no to that is because she's going to run in 2028, and she's I don't know who we're going to put up. It's hard for Republicans to win back to back. I guess it's all about stuff used to happen before. So hopefully the next 4 years is going to be great. And people will want a repeat of great years, and she will not win. But I could be wrong, but I think all roads point to she wants to go to the White House, and she's a woman from the Midwest who got reelected heavily. I've talked about Whitmer and her chances and stuff on here before, so I just want the world to be on notice that there's a dark cloud approaching. But it's very possible we could pick up that Senate seat if we put up a really good candidate. The lieutenant governor right now, according to reports, is Gilchrist, is considering running in that seat. So he's already been on, the top of the ticket, twice now. So I don't know, that they could have good candidates running there. Something also to look out for is Pete Buttigieg did move to Michigan. He's been here for a little while, and it's rumored he's considering a run for governor. He could also be eyeing that Senate position now that that's opening up. So we could have some interesting races in Michigan very soon. The front runner or the Democrat side right now running for governor is Jocelyn Benson, who's our Secretary of State. I think her deputy is like running for Secretary of State. And I I don't know who's running for attorney general on their side right now. And Eric Nesbitt is a Republican who's running for governor, and I'm sure we'll have Ryan Kelly. I saw some rumblings that people are interested in him running. He ran before. He lost the primary. He was he in third place? It was Reinke was second. Tudor Dixon got the nomination. He did surge at one point. But he got arrested. He was one of the Jan 6ers. Like the government like raided his house in front of his kids. And he's got a lot of kids, man. And I haven't talked to him since he got pardoned, so I'll have to reach out to him, see how he's doing. But people are ready to go to support him. I just don't know how much that would hurt him, like in the general. Like Trump did win and carry the state, and I think that's freaking out Democrats. But I don't know how that I don't know how that translated in a midterm election. I don't know. But usually it does flip Democrat, Republican. So Democrats have done a lot of crazy things past 8 years. So maybe this will be our year to time to flip it back to Republican leadership. And hopefully Trump does a lot of great things that people like. And there's not like some massive, I don't know, suburban mom backlash like in the midterms that got Whitmer elected in the first place. But Michigan will be one to watch. I think Democrats really should be concerned about the election that just happened and how red a lot of places were, the impact that a lot of people on the ground were able to make in Pennsylvania, and, and so on, how close New Jersey and other places were. And we'll see what we can do with Michigan. Hopefully we can continue the red trajectory. And it's because if we don't, we're going to start being like California. We've already got some crazy stuff that's happening. But I just wanted to share some of those things, guys. There's a lot of interesting things going on in my state of Michigan. And I know I talk about national stuff so much that I kind of ignore my home state, unless there's like a juicy story coming out. I kind of don't talk about it enough. But let's watch some of these snippets from the press briefing, because we finally got some common sense back after we got rid of Biden and his sucky press secretaries that just went from bad to worse. So there's a lot of fear mongering right now because President Trump is pausing different federal grants. Now it's not going to affect things like food stamps and Medicare and so on, but there's some really crazy things that we've been funding, a lot of woke stuff, a lot of LGBT stuff, and just nonsensical stuff that they don't want to be funded. So they're just pausing and reviewing things. Now, you will see things. I mentioned this phrase the other day, and other people are bringing up malicious compliance, where they'll be like, okay, fine, these are the rules, we're going to do the rules, and they'll do unnecessary stuff to try to generate a headline, and it will be straightened out. Ben Shapiro used the example, like someone might try to pause like stuff on cancer, funding or something like that, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, Trump is like stopping people from getting cancer treatment, and something that maybe they did, because they're supposed to like pause on things that are like contrary to the agendas of the Trump administration. Stopping cancer is not contrary to the Trump administration, but they're like, oh well, we didn't know, so we just stopped this, and then they'll get it straightened out, but it generated a bad headline. So we've already seen that, and so that'll be what these government employees will be doing, man. They're not going to go down quietly. And they pulled over a lot of fast ones on Trump and his people that he appointed the first time around, and they're not playing games this time around. So we'll see what happens between, career bureaucrats versus Trump and his appointees. But let's watch this clip.
I just have a substantive question. Yesterday, the White House Office of Management and Budget directed across the board freeze for individual assistance. We understand the federal grants. It's caused a lot of confusion around the country. among Head Start providers, among providers services to homeless veterans, Medicaid providers, states saying they're having trouble accessing the portal. Could you help us clear up some confusion, give some certainty to folks? And also, is that uncertainty, how does that uncertainty service the president's voters?
Well, I think there's only uncertainty in this room amongst the media. There's no uncertainty in this building. So let me provide the certainty and the clarity that all of you need. This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. And I want to make that very clear to any Americans who are watching at home who may be a little bit confused about some of the media reporting. This administration, if you are receiving individual assistance from the federal government, you will still continue to receive that. However, it is the responsibility of this president and this administration to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars.
Amen.
That is something that President Trump campaigned on. That's why he has launched DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, who is working alongside OMB. And that's why OMB sent out this memo last night, because the president signed an executive order directing OMB to do just this. And the reason for this is to ensure that every penny that is going out the door is not conflicting with the executive orders and actions that this president has taken. So what does this pause mean? It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs. It means no more funding for the Green New scam that has cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. It means no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. No more funding for Green New Deal social engineering policies. Again, people who are receiving individual assistance, you will continue to receive that. And President Trump is looking out for you by issuing this pause because he is being good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
So when Elon Musk started talking about rolling back a bunch of money and like wanting to help the Trump administration do that, this was kind of earlier in the campaign before like Doge became a thing. And when he just started talking about doing all those kind of cuts, I'm like, this man's life is in danger. I'm like, this is dangerous. Like, this is kind of stuff that they might want to take somebody out. And I think I maybe mentioned it to you guys, just kind of my thoughts. I'm like, man, this is kind of dangerous because people like their money. And then Elon Musk was on stage talking about it one day, and he said, like, you want, like, because someone asked him a question, and he was like, do you want my life to be in danger or something? And I'm like, oh, so he kind of knows what I was thinking, or we're like in the same kind of vibe, you know, that this is serious business. But we do want them to be good stewards of our money. We do. Now, that wasn't in this clip, but there was some clip about spending millions of dollars to make sure that there are condoms in Gaza or something. And I saw a clip of her talking about it. Someone was talking about it on TikTok, and it was like a live, so it wasn't a video I could say. I was like, what? Like, I was scrolling, and that was the first thing I came up and heard her say that. So there's plenty of wild examples of stuff where we spend money irresponsibly. So it's good that we are being serious about the stuff. Another conversation that they had was about illegal immigration, and she handled those questions well.
Immigration. Of the 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws, and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are. Jackie.
Fair enough. The truth is the truth, and you cannot like the truth. I've seen videos of like that on like CNN's page on TikTok, and people are like, "Oh, they're so cruel, and there's a lot of people who are like, "Amen," like that's the truth. Like, they are criminals, and just please do things the right way, man. Please do things the right way. And there was also a part where they were talking about the prices of eggs. Now, it's amazing. I remember when the Biden administration, they're like, inflation isn't happening, or it's transitory. Like, oh, it's not that much. Like, oh well, it's still less than when Trump was in office, which wasn't true. And there was just all this, these talking points and just denying reality, and them ignoring the prices, and Biden saying stuff like, "Oh, well, they have money to spend though," and people are like, "No, we don't. What are you talking about?" And then it just all these narratives where people were kind of ignoring it. And on the campaign trail, Kamala had to say like, "Well, prices are still too high," you know. So they had to acknowledge it because people were ready to, I don't know, fight them over it. Like, people were angry. What one of the biggest videos that I have on TikTok, maybe the biggest video, was Biden trying to say like, people actually have money, and people were like, "No, we don't." So they had to mention it. But as soon as Donald Trump became the president, like the day of, I'm not even kidding, like the day, people were like, "How come egg prices are high?" So it's just amazing how insincere these people are and how ready they are to point the finger. So she did address the price of eggs.
Christian Day Talk.
Thanks, Caroline. Just real quick, you mentioned the inflation executive order the president signed, but egg prices have skyrocketed since President Trump took office. So what specifically is he doing to lower those costs for Americans?
I'm gonna let her finish because she can handle her business. She can handle her business, okay? But I just want to remind you that Donald Trump became president a week ago. 1 week. 1 week. It's Tuesday. Last Monday was the inauguration. Are we taking crazy pills here? It's been 1 week. And they're so pressed. I wish they were that pressed before. Like, oh, these Thanksgiving prices are so good. Blah, blah, blah. They're trying to tell you how good everything was before. Like, you guys are crazy. And the only thing they really wanted to address with the prices were like, they just wanted to talk shrinkflation. Like, that's where that's where they were trying to go. They want to talk about how high eggs were. And now this is all they want to talk about, that and the price of bacon. I'm not saying we shouldn't be talking about it and they shouldn't address it and they shouldn't try to fix it. But this aggression that they have, they just did not have it for Biden. And we all know that to be the case. But I'm gonna let her speak. I'm gonna let her slay here.
Really glad you brought this up, because there is a lot of reporting out there that is putting the onus on this White House for the increased cost of eggs. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies of the last administration. As far as the egg shortage, what's also contributing to that is that the Biden administration and the Department of Agriculture directed the mass killing of more than 100 million chickens, which has led to a lack of chicken supply in this country, therefore a lack of egg supply, which is leading to the shortage.
Yeah. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I think there was a little bit more that she had said after that, but that was like the clip that I saved. So anyway, it's nice that you're acknowledging that the eggs are high, and they've been high. They've been high. But she's doing a good job. But I will miss Kaylee though. I didn't expect Trump to bring her back because she was like pro DeSantis in the primary, at least the same. Even before that, but he started calling her milk toast. She was great in his administration. I'm not saying that he won't ever bring her back, but she's good. She's good, but it's not hard to be better than Biden's press secretaries, especially Kareem. She was bad. She's terrible. But you know, Joe Biden, he didn't want to fire. He didn't like fire nobody, pretty much. Trump, I said this the other day. If you don't like who he appoints, don't sweat it too much because he'll get rid of them. He likes to fire people. He likes to fire people, or he's willing to do it. So don't be too pressed. Hold on, I've just stumbled upon a clip that might be funny. Let's watch this live together. Something about Stephen Miller talking to Jake Tapper.
And I want to really drill down on this, Jake, because it's so important. There's 2 million employees in the federal government. Overwhelmingly, the career federal service in this country is far left wing. I don't know that to be a fact. Well, I'll give you a great example. We looked at USAID as an example. That's 98% of the workforce either donated to Kamala Harris or another left-wing candidate, just as an example. Okay, but let me just an entire workforce is having a whoa. Did you just say that saying someone voted for Kamala Harris is demonizing them? No. So according your suggestion is that there's a bias. No, but you used the word demonizing. You just said that I'm demonizing somebody by saying they voted for Kamala Harris. Let's get back on track. But I am on track. Okay. Let me stay on track. What I'm saying to you is this. There are 2 million employees in the federal government. Right. They're overwhelmingly left of center. The American people, I got to finish the sentence. Okay. I got to finish the sentence. The American people voted for dramatic change implemented by Donald Trump. So it is essential for him to get control of government, to establish a whole of government process for Donald Trump's political appointees to review discretionary grants of spending for pet projects that are not directed by Congress. In other words, these are pots of money where Congress hasn't said how to spend it or where to spend it. This might be something like saying, I want to build a $500 million fountain in the courtyard of the Department of Commerce. This might be something like...
Yeah, there's obviously a bias for a lot of people who work in government. Not everybody, obviously, like, you know people who work in government who aren't woke or whatever, but there's a lot of left-leaning people. And Trump left a lot of people there before, and I already noted that a lot of them like railroaded and did things to undermine the Trump administration. Like they knew more than, people coming in, being over their department, and their attitude is, I'm still going to be here and I'll make sure that you're gone. And they, did different things to push people out. And they would say like, oh, you don't have these different firing powers and blah, blah, blah. And then Biden gets in there and he knows how to exercise certain abilities that Trump and his administration did not. So Trump is coming in wiser. And if people have a issue, I just have to get over it. All these people, they serve at the pleasure of the president, man. They can run their departments how they see fit. And people do want to change. People do absolutely want a change. So, of course, there's a bias, Jake Tapper. By the way, Jake Tapper, I don't know how much we covered the story, but, we did cover the story. I don't know how much I covered the outcome of it, because CNN was sued for defamation for this pilot who was getting people out of Afghanistan, and they said that he was running like stuff on the black market and scamming people out of money or whatever. So he was suing them for like $1 billion, and so they said that he didn't get $1 billion, but they did say that CNN was guilty, and CNN at least has to pay $5 million. CNN did not comment on it, but there's, I think, another fee that they might be hitting them with. So there's still some more out there to cover with the story, but I'm glad that they got hit with defamation, because they do be out here lying. And I really want Elon Musk to go after some of these news organizations for asserting that he was like a Nazi doing a Nazi salute, but I don't know if that's worth his time. But I'd like to see it. I'd like to see people be accountable for the words that they say that are just total nonsense. But he's got, I don't know, to get people to Mars, so maybe he doesn't care. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktnews.com. to check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate, because it does cost a stream, run my website, all that stuff, so you guys can support. I very much appreciate it and appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for watching live. Thank you guys for being in my comments. Thank you to those of you who watch back later and comment later and maybe even send like stickers and gifts and stuff later. Thank you very much. Please check out different merch that I have available at blacktnews.com, like the Frederick Douglass shirt that I mentioned. Please find it. The Constitution is a glorious liberty document. Hey, and Black History Month is just a stone throws away. So you guys can check out that kind of stuff. I also want to mention, because I did mention it earlier, I have a book series, The Color of God's Eyes, and it goes to the Song on the Devil's Lips. That's my historical fiction fantasy. So you guys can pick that up on paperback, or you guys can get it on Kindle, or you guys can even read it on Kindle Unlimited if you have that. So go ahead and check that out. And I have many other books as well, but I mostly have fiction books, but I do have nonfiction books. But I love The Color of God's Eyes, and I love The Song of the Devil's Lips. It's like my favorite. I love all my babies, but when I go to convention, like, what's your favorite? I'm like, I love them all, but that's my baby. So I recommend you guys check that out. Anyway, God bless you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.